Okay, we are recording and I am going to talking about rocking your social media. And in talking about this, I do need to let you guys know that I'm going to ask you, like everything, to be outside of your comfort zone and to expose yourselves a little bit. So for those of you who like staying in your comfort zone, you're in the wrong business. And trust me, even though it's really uncomfortable, it actually ends up being really rewarding. So trust this process. Get ready to rock your social media and be willing to expose yourself a little bit more than you might be doing already. Okay. So the first things we need to remember are does everyone else see the faces on the top right or something? Does it get in the way? No? Okay. Oh, there, I can put it at the bottom. Okay, you need to be a strong believer, not just in the products, but in yourself. So we know that Shakeology is an excellent product. We know that these workouts work, but we also, because we're the coaches, because we're the ones leading, we need to be strong believers in who we are as coaches and as leaders, which is very hard to do when you're beginning. I know what that feels like because I remember not feeling really confident in myself, and when people would talk to me or write me, I wouldn't know how to respond. But what I realize and what I know is that we are our own biggest asset, so we have to own that. If you lack the confidence, you have to be willing to grow it. That's where personal development comes in. That's where listening to coach calls, plugging into personal development make you start to grow confidence in this area, not just in the business, but in who you are as a person. What I love about this business is the way that you can be passionately and genuinely you and help other people, and that's what it takes to grow. That's amazing. You can do this from home, being yourself and caring about people, which all of us do. But I feel like we also don't really take advantage of what this opportunity has for us because we don't quite realize just how much we get to own ourselves and help other people do the same thing. And part of the reason I don't think that we really grasp that is because of that insecurity of what it means to own ourselves with our weaknesses and with the things we struggle with and with the ways that we don't measure up, and we don't know how to go from that place to a place where confidence happens. We have to be willing to grow that. And growing it doesn't happen overnight. The people that you see succeeding in this business did not just all of a sudden succeed. They had to grow it too. So it's a process. If you feel like you aren't hitting a bullseye with your social media, I love this quote. If you feel like you aren't hitting a bullseye, you have to throw more darts. Because you go in and you see somebody who hits it out of the park. They're like, you know, a home run hitter, or they go up and they play and they hit the bullseye every time, or an elite coach who's doing everything. And you think, why can't I do that? But they didn't get there by just stepping up to the plate and hitting the ball and it going over the fence. They had to continuously throw more darts. They had to continuously practice hitting those balls. They had to continuously practice growing their business and themselves. So it literally probably has nothing to do with something you're doing wrong. It just has more to do with the consistency of what it takes over time to grow. So don't feel like, oh my gosh, I have to reinvent everything because I'm not getting engagement. People aren't responding. And we'll talk about some things that maybe aren't going right, but I don't think we have anyone on our team that I could say like this needs to change necessarily. So remember, it's consistency over time. Just throw more darts, hit more balls, keep practicing. And when you are posting, remember that it's your job to fill people's cups. So you want to connect with people, you want to uplift people, and you want to live a life of praise through your posts. So this does not mean that everything has to be peppy and positive, because there is that uplift aspect of it. So when we're going through hard times and when things are challenging, that we share in a way where we are uplifting. So we can use even our struggles and our obstacles to bring people up. Connecting is, I like coffee, so I can post things about coffee and I'm going to be able to connect to other people who like coffee or whatever. So it doesn't all have to be like super serious, and the praise part of it can be like just obviously focusing on the positives. But the more we fill people's cup on our social media, the more they're going to like the way they feel when they think about us, and the more they're going to want to come back and be paying attention to what we might be saying. So focus on filling people's cups, connecting with people based on your guys' strengths and what you have in common, uplifting people based on the normal struggles and obstacles that you feel and experience, and praising people through just positivity and encouragement and good things that are happening and things such as that. Now how do I go? Oh. Okay, so now for how to actually share you on your page. First of all, you do want to keep it short. I don't know if anybody else knows, but there are several people who will write these really long paragraphs, and I have done it too, but only if I have shared enough times that writing something really long, I know I already have some engagement, and the purpose of what I'm sharing has a really eye-capturing picture or something like that, and I'm telling a story that starts short and then kind of goes a little bit more in depth so that I'm grabbing attention as I go. So I don't often, I would definitely steer away from keeping these really, really long, drawn out things when you're sharing. Try to minimalize it as much as you can, because you want people to stop their scroll to see what you have to say. And if it's this long, they're probably not going to stop their scroll. Share your story, so don't be afraid of your struggles and obstacles. People want to follow real people. I meet so many people who say, I would think about coaching if I had reached my goal, or I might run a little bit more with my business if only I had a little bit more time, or you know, if I wasn't so if I didn't have so many self-esteem issues, or if I, you know, whatever. There's always things that make it so that we are afraid to be who we are because of these things that seem like they're obstacles that get in the way. When we can embrace the obstacles of life because we have them, and we can use them as motivation to share with other people how real we are and how understandable it is, people start to feel this connection to you because they feel like somebody gets what that's like, and yet they're still going forward. They're still doing something. They're still succeeding, and they're not letting those things hold them back. Everybody wants a way to feel like the obstacles that they have in their life do not keep them from being able to reach their goals, to feel more comfortable, to feel happier, to feel healthier, to feel like time is not, time and responsibility do not hold them down. So make sure that as you share your story that you're not pretending you have zero obstacles, but you're showing that in the obstacles that are holding you back, that you're refusing to let them stop you from being successful. So you don't have time, but you made a workout happen anyways, or you struggle with nutrition, but you got your Shakeology in, or you don't have extra finances, but thank goodness for Beachbody because you could pay for your gas. I mean, it does not have to be some huge monumentous thing that you're sharing for people to see, wow, I can really relate to her story, or that's so cool and I wish I had that too, or I wish that I could overcome the way that she is. Okay? So the next thing is to make it, or he, sorry, Chris. The next thing is to make it eye-catching. So you want pictures that pop and stand out and make people want to stop flowing through, because most people sit on their phones like this, doing, you know, just scrolling through their feed. If there's something that's very like eye-catching, whether it has a lot of color or it's very entertaining or engaging or whatever, that's what you want to focus on. So people who post, you know, T25 on sale now with Shakeology, and this includes, people are not going to go to that person because they're going to think it's salesy, and while it's eye-catching, it's a turnoff, right? Versus Ashley, who posts a picture of her with all of her 21-day fix containers and a big smile on her face, and she's showing, oh my gosh, this is an easy portion control way for me to get results, and that's eye-catching. Like, what are those containers? Look at all those colors. Like, she's happy. What is this? Okay, so when you do it, it's not salesy, it's eye-catching, and it's showing interest in how we really want to help people to change their lives. Okay, so make it eye-catching. The next thing is you want to ask things of your audience every once in a while. I tested this theory last year for Summit, by the way, because I look back over my social media, and we took family pictures before I became a Beachbody coach, and I had like 2 likes, 7 likes, like nothing. When I went to Summit, I'd been a coach for maybe 6-7 months, something like that. And I posted a picture trying on different dresses for Summit, and I did a ABC, which dress. I think I had like 80 something comments. It was just pick A, B, or C. So people, number one, did not have to give a big long thing. They just had to give a letter. Number 2, I gave them the option. You tell me what you like. You tell me what fits. I don't even think that one of those dresses was even an option that I planned on buying. I did not even end up. So sometimes I put things out there to engage people that really I've already decided what I wanted, or I didn't really make the decision, because like I'm going to stand in a fitting room and wait for the next 30 minutes while everyone gives me their opinion so I can finally decide based on everyone else. That's not what we do. We decide based on ourselves regardless of what other people think, but it's very fun for people to feel involved and engaged. Which sounds like trickery, but it's a fun environment. It's just enjoyable. It's like the way that sometimes I used to lead small group for junior high, and they would be so excited to see me. And there were some times where I was like, yeah, I'm glad I'm here, but I did not feel the same engagement. And so I would have to fake it a little bit. It didn't mean that I didn't care about them or that they weren't important to me or that I didn't value the job of being a mentor to them. It just meant that sometimes I was on a little bit of a different page, and I still want to engage even though that looks a little bit different. So asking something of your audience is really fun. And it could even be things like, what I posted the other night, like Jacob isn't really eating food. What do you guys do when you have stubborn and picky eaters or whatever? So make sure to engage and connect with your audience. The next thing is to post about 20% of your post should be fitness related, and then the rest of it should be you. So this means you want to stick to the rule of 5. And for those of you who don't know about the rule of 5, it's the 5 things that make you, you. So Caleb Thomas on his call with Lisa said this amazingly, and I think I'm going to steal it and use it forever. He said, people get really stuck on this because they think they have to come up with 5 things that nobody else has. But there's a lot of moms, and there's a lot of wives, and there's a lot of military spouses and there's a lot of people who care about fitness and nutrition and whatever those 5 things are that most people identify with. For me, it's family, faith, fitness are the 3 main things I talk about. Nutrition a little bit. Anyway, so when you stick to your rule of 5, at first it doesn't seem like a lot, but he compared it to a padlock, right? Like there's the same 10 numbers or whatever on a padlock, and they all seem like every time you look at 1 to 500 others, they look the exact same, but there's one combination for each of those padlocks, and that one combination would not work for every single one. So there are things about you that even though you might be a mom and you might be a wife and you might go to church and you might, we might have these things in common, we are all very unique in how those padlocks work together, how we open that up. The kind of people that we want to reach becomes very unique and special when I do family the way I do family versus Jenna does family the way Jenna does family versus Tigra, Ashley, whatever. So as you post, sticking to your rule of 5 and doing that genuinely and uniquely you is super important. Okay? So then you want to ask yourself, would someone follow me based on my last 5 posts? Now, when I signed up as a coach, this was kind of a yucky question because my last 5 posts were T25 on sale now, Shakeology is awesome. And I did that for a while because I didn't really know how to share me, and I did have a lot of confidence issues, and I wasn't quite sure that I could do a business where it was salesy. And so I was trying to embrace the salesy part, because if I could embrace the salesy part, then maybe I could do this business. And I realized that that's like so the wrong way to do things. And so pay attention to your posts. Would someone follow you? Would someone know what you were doing? That's another good one. Does someone know what you're doing based on your last 5 posts? Would someone realize that they could come to you if they needed help with health and fitness? Are you afraid to share your business on social media? Or are you sharing it in a way where people are turned off? Or are you, figuring out what works for you and sharing it in a way that's genuine? Or there's so many questions to ask yourself, but would someone follow you based on your last 5 posts? And then speak to the audience you want to reach, not the audience you know. The reason I'm going to say this is because I know that at the beginning, not at the beginning, for a very, very long time, like over a year, I would make my posts based on the people that I already know. Now, what does that mean? For a long time in my life, I've been very kind of like not nice things have been said about my positivity and encouragement and optimism, because it is very hard to be that way all the time. And there's, a lot of negativity around how much positivity I bring forward. And so I would want to share something and then be afraid that those negative people would scroll past me or hate what I posted or think bad things, because it can't really be that way. And all the things that I've heard all my life of you need to stop and you need to realize that it's not always like that. And there's not always a good way to look at things. And so I would speak to the audience that I knew instead of the audience I wanted to reach. But when I try to find coaches and challengers and people to be on this team of ours and to be engaged with me, I don't want to find those negative people. I don't want to be around negative people all the time, because then what's going to happen to me? I'm the one positive people around several negative people, and then I'm negative. So instead, I want to find people who are like me. I want to engage the audience that I'm trying to reach. I want to be okay with the fact that even though some people tell me this isn't a good thing about me, that's how God made me. And so I'm going to be that person, and I'm going to do it unapologetically. And I will not be able to do that if I'm trying to reach the audience that I know, because I know the things that they've said to me before. And I don't want to be held back by what other people have said to me and the way that I felt about myself based on those other people. Instead, I'm going to go out because I know there's other people out there who are positive and who enjoy positivity and who need more positivity in their life and who find that to be uplifting. And that's why I made that board in my room too, of like positive quotes that people have given me, is because it's still a really hard thing for me to not engage the audience that I know. And it's not that they don't matter to me. It's just that when I post, I want to speak to what I'm trying to engage. Okay? So that's another thing to think about, the things that might hold us back as we post. And then a mediocre post is better than no post at all. So we are told to post 3 to 5 times a day. A mediocre post is better than no post at all. People need to see that you are present and available. You want to come up often in people's newsfeed. You want to be somebody who brings people's attention. You want to bring a little bit of attention to yourself, which can be uncomfortable. But trust me, it's a good thing, because the more you are genuinely you and the more you are showing up in people's feed, the more you're reaching and attracting your audience. The more you reach and attract your audience, the more you're, without even realizing it, you're drawing a circle of people to you that will engage in your challenge groups and your leadership as their coach, because they have been so attracted to what you've been posting and how you've been sharing and who you are as a person. And then all of a sudden, the ways that you feel insecure and weak, you'll start to see that change, because all of a sudden you realize, no, I'm not weak and insecure. Like, God created me with gifts and talents and abilities. And sometimes it sounds silly that we need other people to see that in us in order for us to really believe it. But it's true. So when you show up and you're posting and you're being you, and you start getting that positive attention from it, you are drawing a circle of people who need you and you need them. And you don't even quite realize it as it's happening. So remember that a mediocre post is better than no post at all. Show up in people's lives. Be willing to fill people's cups. Be willing to be present, because this business does not build just because you sign up. This business builds because you really care about people and you want to show up for them. So then also be willing to change and adapt. So obviously for me, well, not obviously, I don't know why I said that, probably because I just say things like that. But for me, I have noticed that I have to be willing to change and adapt, because I started knowing how important it was to share on social media and realizing I need to be engaging with my posts. And so I was attached to my phone like it was a part of my body, because I needed to post things that were engaging, things that were uplifting and positive and helpful and insightful. That takes time. Most people post a picture and they're like, hey, sweeping the floor, whatever. So in order to really be intentional about your social media, you're going to have to be willing to spend a little bit of time practicing this art. And now it comes so much easier, just like any kind of practice. And so yes, I'm asking you to spend more time investing in your business, and your business is social media. oh my gosh, if you want to make money with this business and you want to give your family freedom and you have a why that you attach to and you want to grow, then you need to be willing to invest the time that it takes. And you need to be willing to become a student of how to share you and how to share these products in a way that's going to come across to others as something that they not only need, but want, like really want, because it allows them that life change they've been looking for. And the only way for that to happen is for you to be intentional about how and what you post. So no, at first this might be time consuming. It might be how you take pictures of your family. You know, like when I first started this, my family was like, oh my gosh, mom, another picture. And I'm like, yes, please just smile. And now they're like, selfies, everybody in, you know, because it's become a part of our lives. It's not a fight. At first I felt really guilty that I'm making them take these pictures and they're not liking it. And maybe I'm doing something wrong. But now we're all connected in this process. And this process is like fun and uplifting and health oriented. And it's about connection. And so now that they see me live passionately for it and see that it's really actually fun and encouraging and exciting, and I can show them, look at this picture I put of you, like Matthew jumping on the diving board, and I read him the quote about confidence and courage, and he was just like, you know, all smiley. But if that had happened a year ago, he would have been like, Mom, please don't take another picture. So it is an uncomfortable process. Be willing to change and adapt. Be willing to invest the time, and don't think of it as I'm a bad mom or I'm a bad wife or whatever. You have to get your family involved in the fact that this is a process that absolutely is necessary for you to share on social media. I mean, it's absolutely necessary for you to engage with other people. And sometimes we do not have the ability to sit down and type out 600 messages to 600 friends that engages them, or call 600 people on the phone. You are making ripple effects just by sharing in an intentional way on your social media site, so that you actually in the long run have less work to do. But it takes more work to start. So now I can make shorter posts that are like, oh, sweeping the floor, and know that that post is going to be seen a lot more because I've spent so many hours perfecting this art of how to create these pictures that do these very things and engage my family and relationships and my faith and how I continue to overcome and whatever. So embrace the uncomfortability, even that it takes to start, and be willing to change and adapt. But the investment is part of it. And then trust the process, because I will tell you that over time, this totally works. I know for sure because I posted family pictures, like what I consider such cute pictures of our family before I started Beachbody, with 4 to 7 likes. I post a picture at midnight on the day Johnny gets home. Now here I am a year and a half later, midnight when Johnny gets home from paramedic school, in the middle of the night in the boys' messy room, a selfie on my iPhone, and I get over 200 likes on that exact same picture. And it's not necessarily about likes. It's about the fact that that shows that I'm attracting an audience of people who are paying attention to my story. And as I attract an audience of people who pay attention to my story, there are more people who are connecting. And as more people connect, they're more willing to trust me when I say, hey, I have a challenge group starting. They see that I've been consistent and that I'm faithful in that process of engaging them and really caring deeply about people, not about business and sales. Business and sales are a way that I'm fueling what I feel like God's created me for. They're just a side part of it. If it was really about that, I would not be here. So trust the process of sharing and building and the importance of that process, even if it takes time and even if it seems a little outside of your comfort zone. If you're constantly sharing photos from other sites and just like copy and pasting things that are somebody else's material, you're not really sharing you. While I do that sometimes with Pinterest and things like that, make sure if you're going to do that, that you put a little snippet in there of like, man, this stood out to me because, or how true is this? Engaging your audience, right? How true is this? Things where people are getting a sense of who you are as you share versus just sharing and not really understanding you. So I would also say that make sure that you share you and trust the process and take the time and investment into who am I? What do I want to share? What are those 5 things? How do I stay within them? And how do I stay consistent in them? Okay. So attracting your specific audience. I wonder how much time I have left. I feel like I've talked a lot. So in order to attract your audience, you need to create your story. The reason you need to create your story is your story helps you to know, what am I trying to do with this business? What am I trying to get to? At the core of why I became a coach, what is it about? So figure out your background and what you didn't like about your background and how Beachbody has helped that or come to the rescue, which I kind of think is cheesy, but I mean, in reality, it has helped us in some way or another. And then your results are how you feel about the future. So I wrote mine down just to kind of give you guys an example. Mine says, I was a stressed military wife, mother of 2 and grad student who had moved for the 6th time in 6 years. I felt defeated and my weight gain was spiraling. I'd gained 20 pounds in Oreos and depression, which a lot of people have heard as part of my story because that's legit. With T25, Shakeology, and the support of online health and fitness groups, I realized that I wasn't alone and I had a way to let go of stress and feel better about my life. I started believing that things would not just be okay, but they would be great. Coaching has allowed me the opportunity to offer this to others. It's given me the gift of sharing possibility, hopeful living, purpose, and meaning to people who want to feel alive again. So that's my story. Your story fuels into your why. Your why needs to be emotional. You need to be able to connect with it, and you need to believe it's possible for you. So my why started with, oh, it'd be cool to pay off my student loans one day, but I can't connect to that because that's like $100,000 that I don't have and seems very, very far in the future to ever even have, even with a business that supposedly you can make 6 figures in a year. I've been here a year and a half and I haven't made that. So obviously I don't believe that. You hear how I just talked about it. That's not a belief that that's possible. That's not a why I can connect with. It's not emotional for me in anything except stress. So that's not my why. Even though I thought it was my why, that's not even my why. So everyone says your why needs to be more than just helping people too. But I'm a sapphire pearl. So I'm like all about fun and all about connection. I want to help people. So that was really hard for me because I really can connect with that, and that's emotional for me, and I believe it's possible. But it needs to be bigger. So my why is still not numbers oriented, and it's still not, it still includes helping people. And I have to get out of my head what everyone else says it should be and just what really connects with me and is emotional to me when I think about my life and what I really want and why I'm a Beachbody coach with a master's degree who is actually thinking maybe I might do part-time until I decide to just retire this business. So, I mean, not retire, but stop counseling altogether so that I can do this business. So my why says, I need this business because I know deep in my heart that I was created to make a difference and help people live lives with joy and empowerment. I really believe that. I see good even in the worst of situations. I do not lose faith. I want freedom for my family. I need my family to be close and connected and mission-oriented because I didn't have that. That's really important that my family is really close and that we don't get overwhelmed by all the responsibilities of life. I said that next. I don't want responsibility to ever keep me from being focused on what we can do as a family to make an impact in the world. So that's worth it to me. I will fight for a business that allows my family to be able to go on any missions trip we want to go on, or to be able to travel and see our family in California, even though we live in Iowa, and to be able to spend intentional time growing whatever that family in Iowa might look like for us. And so intentional living to me is so important, and that connection and ability to make a difference in the world is worth this business for me. And so that's connecting to my why and making it really, really possible for me. So the last thing, because we only have 7 minutes left, is you need to grab your audience. So this one was really convicting for me, because in order to grab your audience, you need to list 10 ideal characteristics you want in a coach or a challenger. These are my 10. These are the ones I came up with. Somebody who doesn't give up. And you guys will have a different one, but I do want you to make a list of your 10 characteristics that you want in an ideal coach or challenger. Somebody who doesn't give up, who dreams big, who's driven, motivated, passionate, caring, positive, helpful, encouraging, and relentless. And then you have to ask yourself, am I that person? Because we attract what we put out. So if I'm not being those things, then I cannot attract that person. If I say that I want this on my team, then I have to be willing to live that first. That's convicting, but it's also empowering because I know that's 10 things that I need to work on. Well, really, I think it's only like 2 that I really am not that great at. 3, 2. Anyway, so those few things that I'm like, I really need to be a little bit more driven so that I can be organized and make sure that I'm following through with what I say I'm going to do and things like that. I know I got to work on that. But if I have it in a list of 10, that's not so many. That's not so overwhelming. And several of those things are on my list because I already am that person, because I want to attract a person I'm already like. So using that list of 10 characteristics is important because that's what you want in your team and your challengers, and that's what you want to grow in yourself. It gives you a focus as you grow this business of where you want to go. So that when you can really identify with these things, your top 5 things you want to be sharing on social media, and then as you share, using the list of these 10 characteristics to share from those, are my posts motivated or helpful or showing that I dream big or showing that I'm relentless or showing that I'm an encourager or whatever. Use those to fit in with your top 5, because then you have a double list that creates this funnel for you to filter your information that you're giving out of. And it's less confusing. Like, well, is this okay? Well, ask yourself, is it within the 5 things that I care about? And is it consistent with the 10 characteristics of people that I want on my team and people that I want to coach? If it is, then share it. If it's not, then continue to work through it. Continue to work on, okay, well, like, what things do I need to change and adapt and go through? So anyway, that's what I have with 4 minutes left. I'm going to turn off the screen sharing. Stop sharing. Does anybody have any questions in the last 4 minutes from that? Man, it's so awesome. That's great. Oh, good. Ashley has one.
Question. I just thought that was an awesome call. Like, there's so much, I don't know. It's great.
And hopefully having the PowerPoint will make it so that when I consistently make PowerPoints, then when people listen back, they can even kind of like get rid of all the jibber jabber in between, because that sometimes happens, and be able to say, okay, what's this call really about and what do I need to focus on? And if there's a page that they're a little confused on, they can kind of stop and say, okay, what was said here? What does that mean? So that's kind of where I'm going, because I feel like if our team really understands what it means to be successful without all the wordiness that I tend to do, then it's going to help fuel your success. And if I'm not helping lead you guys to success, then we're doing a disservice to all of this anyways. And so I feel like this is definitely a more concrete way to grasp the information that will literally help build your business in a way that you see it not just as a network marketing thing, but as like fueled by who we are and how we help others. Because, I mean, that's pretty cool that that's what we're in the business to do. And the things that hold us back are really in our minds thinking like, but the sales, really, or whatever. I don't know. Everybody's held back by different stuff. But.
I love too how you shared that part of your why is being mission oriented. Dave and I were just talking about that this morning, and how that's what we would want from this business too, is to be able to like give to places and fully support ourselves if we ever like went and became missionaries or something.
I know, right? I mean, me and Johnny have talked about missions. I can stop recording for right now, but yay team.